In Japan, a fruit once sold for $45,000. That's more than the price of a brand new car in the United States. Yet in a small auction room in northern Japan, 2 melons were sold for that unbelievable price. The fruit was a pair of famous Yubari King melon. The buyer was not a billionaire collector. It was a supermarket chain. They didn't buy the melons to eat them. They bought them for marketing. Because when a store can say it owns the most expensive fruit in the world, people start paying attention. But the real story here is not about rich people buying luxury fruit. The real story is something much stranger. In Japan, expensive food is not an accident. It is part of a system that makes food rare, perfect, and incredibly valuable. A system where fruit is sometimes treated less like groceries and more like jewelry. To understand how this happened, we need to step inside Japan's unusual food culture. Because once you do, you start to realize something surprising. Japan didn't accidentally create expensive food. It designed it. Around most of the world, farming follows one simple rule. Produce as much food as possible. Sell it as cheaply as possible. Mass production means lower prices, more supply, and more competition. But Japan followed a completely different path. Here, farming is often closer to craftsmanship than industrial production. Some fruit farmers in Japan spend months taking care of a single crop. Melons are rotated by hand to make sure sunlight touches every side evenly. Grapes are wrapped in protective bags to protect them from insects and sunlight. Mangoes are grown inside small nets so that when they ripen and fall from the tree, they never touch the ground. Some fruits are even polished by hand to improve their appearance. In Japan, perfection matters, and that perfection can come with an incredible price tag. For example, the luxury grape variety known as ruby. Roman grapes once sold for $12,000 for a single bunch. That means a single grape could cost hundreds of dollars. Boxes of premium strawberries can sell for $50 to $80. Luxury mangoes known as Taiyo no Tamago often sell for hundreds of dollars. Walk into a high-end fruit shop in Tokyo, and you might see fruit displayed inside glass boxes like museum pieces. This might seem ridiculous at first. Why would anyone pay that much money for fruit? But Japan's geographers explains part of the answer. About 70% of Japan is mountainous. That leaves very little land for farming. Countries like the United States or Brazil can produce huge amounts of food across massive fields. Japan simply doesn't have that luxury. So instead of competing on quantity, Japan decided to compete on quality. If you can't produce the most food in the world, you can produce the best looking food in the world. Perfect fruit became a symbol of craftsmanship, and that symbol slowly turned into an industry. But the story of Japan's food system doesn't begin in orchards or farms. It begins in one of the darkest moments in the country's history. In 1945, Japan was devastated. World War II had just ended. Many cities were destroyed. Food was scarce. Millions of people stood in long ration lines, waiting for basic supplies. At the time, Japan depended heavily on food shipments from the United States, especially wheat. For a country with a long history of self-reliance, that dependence was deeply uncomfortable. Leaders began asking a serious question. What happens if Japan ever loses access to foreign food again? What happens if the country cannot feed itself? Out of that fear came a national decision. Japan would do everything possible to protect its farmers. One of the most powerful tools they used was something called protectionism. Imported food products were heavily taxed. Sometimes those taxes reached extremely high levels. The goal was simple. If foreign food stayed expensive, Japanese farmers could continue to survive. Over time, protecting farmers became more than an economic policy. It became a matter of national security. Food production was no longer just agriculture. It was about independence. And inside that protected system, one organization became incredibly powerful. In Japan's agricultural world, one name appears everywhere: Yazen-no. This massive agricultural cooperative connects thousands of farmers across the country. For many farmers, it plays a role in almost every part of their business. Seeds, fertilizers, equipment, marketing, and distribution often flow through this network. Because of this structure, Yazen-no has enormous influence over the agricultural market. It helps farmers coordinate production. It helps distribute crops across the country, and it helps maintain stable prices. Critics sometimes argue that this system can also limit competition. Supporters say it protects rural communities and keeps farming alive in a country where farmland is limited. Either way, the system has helped maintain Japan's unique approach to agriculture: high quality, limited supply, and carefully managed markets. But even with these economic policies in place, there is still one big question left. Why do ordinary people actually buy these expensive fruits? The answer lies in something deeply rooted in Japanese culture. In Japan, gift-giving is taken very seriously. There is a cultural concept known as giri, which roughly translates to social obligation. It means that people feel a strong responsibility to show respect and gratitude through gifts. During certain seasons, especially summer and winter, people exchange gifts with bosses, co-workers, clients, and relatives. The quality of the gift matters. A beautiful, rare fruit can communicate respect and appreciation in a very elegant way. That is why premium fruit shops exist in many Japanese cities. These stores sell fruit that is perfectly shaped, carefully packaged, and beautifully presented. Sometimes the fruit is placed inside wooden boxes. Sometimes it is wrapped like a luxury product. In some cases, the fruit itself becomes a conversation piece. Take the famous square watermelon. These watermelons are grown inside glass boxes so that they develop a perfect cube shape. The result looks fascinating. A watermelon that fits neatly into a refrigerator. Prices for these square watermelons often range between $100 and $300. But here is the strange part. Many of them are not even meant to be eaten. Because they are harvested early to maintain their shape, they are often not very sweet. People buy them mainly as decorations or novelty gifts. The fruit becomes a symbol of creativity and status rather than just something to eat. But perfection has a hidden cost. Japan's strict visual standards can sometimes lead to large amounts of food waste. If a fruit is slightly misshapen, or if its color is not perfectly uniform, supermarkets may reject it, even if the fruit tastes exactly the same, even if it is perfectly healthy to eat. Some farmers sell these imperfect fruits at lower prices. Others struggle to find buyers at all. This has led to ongoing debates inside Japan about balancing beauty, quality, and sustainability. At the same time, another major challenge is approaching. Japan's farming population is aging rapidly. The average Japanese farmer is now close to 70 years old. Younger generations are moving to cities and choosing different careers. As rural populations shrink, the future of farming becomes uncertain. To solve this problem, Japan is turning toward technology. Some companies are developing advanced indoor farms where vegetables grow under LED lights, water is carefully recycled, temperature and humidity are precisely controlled, and machines help automate much of the process. One growing technique is known as vertical farming. In these facilities, crops grow in stacked layers inside buildings rather than in open fields. The goal is to produce more food in smaller spaces while using fewer workers. It may sound futuristic, but many of these farms already exist. Japan is quietly experimenting with the next generation of agriculture, a future where technology and tradition meet. So are these expensive fruits just a strange luxury? Or are they part of something deeper? For many people in Japan, food is not just a product on a supermarket shelf. It represents craftsmanship, respect, tradition, and national independence. Turning fruit into something rare and beautiful may seem unusual from the outside, but inside Japan, it reflects a long effort to protect farmers, preserve land, and maintain cultural identity. To the rest of the world, food is often about efficiency. For Japan, food is something more. It is pride, it is culture, and in many ways, it is dignity. So the next time you see a $200 fruit online, remember that there might be a much bigger story behind it. A story about history, survival, and the surprising ways a country chooses to value its food. And now the question is yours. Would you ever pay hundreds of dollars for a single piece of fruit? Let us know what you think. And if you enjoy documentaries that reveal the hidden systems shaping our world, consider subscribing, because the next story might be even more surprising.